Hello everyone, this is James Shore with another test-driven JavaScript video. I'm recording this on November 27th, 2012. It's been a couple weeks since the last recording. And in this episode, we're starting a brand new chapter focusing on responding to mouse events. Now, to catch you up, if you're just joining us with this chapter, what we're working on here is a web application called WeWikiPaint that is intended to be a collaborative painting site. So eventually what we're going to have the ability to do is for people to visit this page online, draw something in this area here, and see that show up on everybody's computers who are connected. And that's going to be sort of in a wiki based system. Now, we don't have that yet. We have a server which is running at wewikipaint.com, and there's not a whole lot there yet. And we have got that all tested, and we've been doing a bunch of client-side work, and we've got that all tested as well. Now what we need to do is make this drawing area actually respond to mouse events. We have the ability to draw stuff in it, and that's all tested, but now we need it to respond to mouse events. So that's what we're working on in this chapter. So I think the first thing I'd like to do here, well, first let's just show that our tests are passing. It's always a good place to start when you start start the day. So we've got that working. We've got it working on all of our browsers here. iOS, IE9, IE8, Safari, Chrome, Firefox. And so now we need to get this actually responding to mouse events. So, and this is tricky. I mean, this is definitely more advanced stuff. It's not just manipulating the DOM, it's actually poking in to what the user does. I think the way I would like to start out with this is to just spike the mouse following code. So again, it's much harder to test something that you don't know how it works, and to do test-driven development. And often when you're doing test-driven development, you'll understand the system pretty well. But when you start coming across new parts of the problem, like tracking the mouse, it can be useful to write some untested code to just explore the space and get that to work. So I think that's what we should do here is we should write a spike solution, a little tiny program to just follow the mouse. And then we can redo that code with test-driven. So this is the same pattern we followed in the last chapter, and it's a pattern that I'll follow a lot, is when I'm facing a new problem to spike it first and then redo it with tests. And we have this smoke test to come along later, and I actually think that that's something that should be part of a later story. Perhaps, yeah, we've got minify and deploy, but really we just need deploy. Okay, so we'll take that off because that's something that's not really going to fit into this chapter, I don't think. And let's see, what else do we have here? Have some things that need to be done, but I think I'd like to get going on the mouse following code first. I'm feeling the urge to see stuff happen on the page. So let's see how to do that. So I think what I'll do is I'll just go do a little bit of research quickly on how mouse code works. I've done it before, but I don't remember exactly how it works. So, and then come back to you. So back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. So I looked at the jQuery. So again, we're using jQuery in this, and I looked at the mouse events in jQuery, and it looks fairly straightforward. I think what I'd like to do, sometimes when I'll do a spike solution, I'll do it as a standalone program, and sometimes I'll just do it right in my code. And I actually, when I was using Subversion as my version control system, I would do my spikes as standalone programs much more frequently. Now that I use Git, I actually tend to do my spikes right in the software. And the reason is that Git makes it really easy to back up. So let's just check in. We'll do the spike, and then if we mess things up irrevocably, then we can just revert the check-in. So we have updated the to-do, and we have the ability to draw lines. So let's just demonstrate that. So if we go from 10, 100 to 20, 200, we should see that show up in our local system. So now what I want to do is, rather than just drawing a line, I'd like to see that mouse event work. And let's start out with something really simple. Let's just bind a click to the div. So we should be able to say drawing area element dot click. Let me just double check this and pass in the handler. Yeah. And again, I'm taking this slow because it's been a while since I've done this code, and again, small steps just makes it much easier to debug. That's one of the reasons test-driven development works so well, is because you're constantly taking small verified steps. So that's interesting. Oh, it's lint complaining again about our global variables. Really need to fix that. Okay, so our J code pass, that was actually kind of reflex. I'm not doing any testing right now. Okay, so now if I click this, yeah, there's our line appearing. So click, there it is. Perfect. Okay, so it's not click we want, of course. It's really, we want the ability to draw lines wherever we're at. Let's start out. So maybe what I'd like to do is say, we'll draw a line from 0, 0 to the location of the click. And let's see, the event handler has an event object. And what is in the event handler? Okay, I found it. I don't know how it's linked in, but a little Google search found it for me. So we've got the jQuery event object, and it has page X and page Y, which is not necessarily the same thing as what we're looking for. But maybe offset X and offset Y are what we're looking for. Let's try that. Okay, and then if we go back to that, did not work at all. Let's just make sure. Did I reload it? Yeah, not working at all. Let's look at our JavaScript errors. Not seeing any errors. Okay, let's see, small steps. Let's just put this back. Okay, so we're definitely getting the click event, but it's not doing what we expect it to. So the event object, apparently these are undefined. Let's try logging the event. This may not work. All right. So we've got screen X, screen Y, page X. Offset X and offset Y are Nah. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like we might need to calculate the relative to position ourself. Okay. Well, let's, just for fun, let's do page X and page Y. Yeah, and of course that's acting all kinds of wonky because it's not relative to the object. I guess I can calculate this myself, but I'm going to just take a moment to look to see if there's any cheaper way of getting the relative location of the click. That seems like it's a fairly common thing to do, and I'm surprised that it's not in here. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. So it doesn't look like there's any way of getting the mouse position relative to the DOM element, but there is this offset which will give us information relative to the document. I'm hoping that's going to be good enough. But you know, what we're going to have to do is in our testing is we'll need to account for our padding, our border, our margin. All those things are stuff that can affect this calculation. But for now, let's just, again, we're just in spiking mode here. So let's see what we can see. So our relative X is going to equal something, and our relative Y is going to equal something. And so that's what we're going to want here. It's going to equal our event page X minus our div page X, and our event page Y minus our div page Y. And our div page Y is going to be the drawing area element, which I believe is the same as this, but I'm not 100% sure, and I don't want to worry about it. So div page X, or that's going to be left, and the same thing for div page Y. You can see why it's important to do these spikes, because if we were trying to figure out how to do all the testing of this, this could be a bit ugly. So we're just trying to reduce the number of variables we have to deal with at one time. Well, there we go. That looks really promising. Okay, so that's all the time we have in this episode. So what we're doing right now is we are just spike the mouse dragging code, and really what we need to do next is we need to, I guess what we need to do is make clicks draw a line where we click, and then we need to actually follow the mouse pointer, and then we need it to handle dragging. So that's what we're going to do next time, is we're just going to continue this spike and get it to be a little bit more correct. So thanks for watching, everybody. I will catch you next time.